Hey guys, so in this video I wanted to talk about an open world build for the Thief, which I think has one of, if not the most, mobility in Guild Wars 2. This build is great for roaming, map completion, farms like Silver Waste and chest trains, as well as meta events. So the pros of this build is, of course, its high mobility from blinks, perma-swiftness, and steal. It has high survivability from easy access to invis, life on hit from Signet of Malice, and a pretty good downstate combat if it comes to that. This build also has really nice quality of life features in open world, with easy tagging from Trickshot and Choking Gas on shortbow, and lots of CC in Headshot, Fist Flurry, Basilisk Venom, or Impact Strike. So for this build, all our skills will be from Thief, but we will be traded for Daredevil for Dash, but we'll look at traits in a bit. For skills, I take Signet of Malice in the healing slot for the stacked life on hit while cleaving mobs. I take Shadow's Refuge for the incredibly accessible invisibility. What we're doing with the invis here is stopping mobs from interrupting us from interacting and looting, or preventing them from initiating combat, which will slow us down. I take Shadow Step for extra mobility, the fact that it's a longer range blink, and that it's also a stun breaker. And lastly, I take Signet of Shadows for the passive movement speed. So this is what I usually run, but if you want, you can also take Smokescreen for extra invisibility, or Fist Flurry and Impairing Daggers for extra CC and DPS, which I usually trade Shadow's Refuge out for, but that's completely up to you. For traits, the important one here is Daredevil. I take Havoc Mastery for higher DPS. Brawler's Tenacity is also an option for more dodges, but that's only if you're running Fist Flurry or Impairing Daggers with it. Next, I run Escapist's Absolution for the Condi Cleanse. This is just a quality of life to get us out of combat quicker, especially in maps like Ember Bay where everything applies burn. And lastly, this is the big one, we're taking Dash for the extra mobility in dodge distance, as well as perma-swiftness. Basically, dodging with Dash applies 10 seconds of swiftness. It takes roughly the same amount of time to get the endurance back to dodge again, but we of course have 3 dodges, which means we can keep spamming it to keep our swiftness topped up. The other 2 trait lines are completely up to you guys. I prefer standard DPS setups in Deadly Arts and Critical Strikes, but there's some cool traits in Acrobatics, which are probably better for open world to be honest, if you want to explore those options. For gear, I just use standard full Berserker's armor, weapons, and trinkets. You'll be mobile enough that survivability shouldn't be too much of a problem, especially since you'll mostly be using this build in the open world. For weapons, we'll mainly be sitting on shortbow, as this is our main source of mobility in Infiltrator's Arrow, that's shortbow 5. Our other weapon slot will be a melee weapon, which is our main source of damage. Between dagger, sword, staff, and pistol, you can take whichever combination you prefer, but I really like running dagger pistol for headshot and shadow shot. Headshot for the strong CC for break bars, and shadow shot for the mobility and the blind. With the right timing of shadow shot, you can actually kill slow hitting mobs without taking any damage at all. So blinking is a huge part of this build. It's essentially what separates the Thief from other high mobility classes, such as the Warrior. So to have an easier time using blinks like Shortbow 5 and Shadow Step, in general options you can turn on Lock Ground Target at maximum skill range, which is one of the best settings you can have enabled for this type of gameplay. It'll allow you to blink the furthest distance possible without having to aim it, so you can just spam max range blinks. Another good option to pay attention to is whether you're using ground targeting on normal or range indicator. With these options, you can aim while gathering or interacting, so you can blink as soon as you're done. Instant is also fine here, but it just means you won't be able to aim it as accurately. Lastly, once you've gotten basic blink spam movement down, you can also start doing blink shortcuts, which I'm sure you guys are probably aware of. The trick is usually just to position the ground target on the lip of the edge, but some areas won't like it and the blink will fail. A couple of extra tips for open world roaming is the use of course of the Executioner's Axe for extra mobility. Don't worry about it too much if you don't have it though. Also for any class except LE and NG, weapon swapping will almost always animation cancel for interactions that don't require you to perform the full duration. So that is it guys, I hope you enjoyed the build video, let me know if anything didn't make sense or I got something wrong. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.